Chapter 5, Friends to the Rescue. I might have disagreed with Papa about plume hunting, but he was right about one thing. There sure was a lot of new people moving into the area. The shores of Lake Worth were slowly being cleared for new homesteads, and a few farmers were planting large farms. I even noticed that game was becoming harder to find. We had to go deeper into the pine forest to find wild turkey, hog, deer, and rabbit for the table. There was a time when we barely had to step off the front porch to find everything we needed. But having new neighbors wasn't all bad. Right in the middle of our troubles, a new family called the Bradley family bought a plot of land on the west side of the lake just north of our island. Just as we did with all our new neighbors, Papa offered to help them clear their homestead and build a house. And that's how I met my best friends, Guy and Louis Bradley. Guy was my age and Louis was 2 years younger. I liked them right away. When I started planning my expedition to go after those snowy egrets, I knew just who I wanted to come along with me. Guy was a crack shot and a good sailor, and Louis could catch just about any fish that swam in either fresh or salt water. Better still, they never stopped talking about the famous Lewis and Clark expedition, where Meriwether Lewis and William Clark made it all the way from Pittsburgh to the Pacific Ocean and back. I figured Guy and Louis would jump at the chance to make a great plume bird expedition with me into the Everglades. That just left one more boy I hoped would come along, my old friend Tiger. Fortunately, I knew Tiger made an annual hunting trip down the coast, right past Hippoloxo Island, so I convinced Guy and Louis to come with me, and we went off to find Tiger. They were surprised at first, but I explained that a lot of Seminole boys traveled alone to hunt and trade for themselves. It took some good luck, but fortunately I knew all of Tiger's favorite camping places on the Barrier Islands, and it didn't take long before we saw a thin plume of smoke and found Tiger and his canoe at a small camp by the water. We hailed him, and Tiger jumped up and waved at us all. After introductions, the four of us made a short hike to the ocean and found a place to sit in the shade of a stand of sea grape trees and watch the waves from across the sand. After we'd all settled in, I said, "So, boys, I've got an adventure for you if you're interested." "An adventure?" Guy said. "What kind of adventure? Do we get to fish?" Louis said. "Definitely," I said, "and more besides." Then I explained all about John Samuelson and my idea of a great plume bird expedition. I especially focused on how much money we could make. I said the Bradley brothers could likely buy their very own sailboat, and Tiger could get his village just about anything he wanted. "And if you think about it," I finished, "we'll be just like real explorers, just like Lewis and Clark. We'll have to go into a big swamp of Paheoki. What do you think?" "Our parents'll never let us go off like that," Louis said. "Pa'd whip us good." "Maybe," I agreed. "But what if you came back with a sack full of money?" "I don't know," Louis said uncertainly. Then Guy cut in. "You said we'd actually go into the Paheoki? I thought only the Indians went in there. I didn't think white men went into the swamp." "Well, then we'd be the first," I said. "Except Tiger. You've been there before, right?" Tiger nodded. "Yes, my people know Paheoki." "See," I said, "if Tiger comes, we'll be with a real Seminole who's been there before, and you'll come along, right, Tiger?" He shrugged. "Where is Rookery?" he asked. "Paheoki very large. You know where Rookery is?" "Well, not exactly," I said, "but look." I unfolded a map that I had brought from home. It showed the coast of Florida, from the north of our island all the way down to Miami. Samuelson came up from Miami, so I figured that means he came down the Miami River, right? We could sail south to Biscayne Bay, then go up the Miami River. I traced my finger along the route until it faded into nothing. We'll end up here. "Yes, but where is Rookery in there?" Tiger said, wiping his hand across the big blank spot on the map where the Everglades was. "I don't know in particular," I answered, "but there can't be too many big rookeries full of snowy egrets. We'll just look till we find it." Tiger shook his head a little. "I don't know, Charlie. Paheoki is very wild. Even Seminoles don't know everywhere." "I know," I said, "but that means Samuelson couldn't have gone very far, right? He was probably just on the edge. You probably know the swamp better than he does." When Tiger didn't answer, I said, "You'll come, right, Tiger? You're the only one who's been there before." Finally, Tiger shrugged. "Yes, I come." I sighed in relief. "One more question," Guy said. "You said we're going to sail down there. How can we do that?" That'll be the easiest part, I answered. My uncle will. Shh, Tiger suddenly hissed, and we immediately fell silent. He cupped his hand at his ear like we should listen, but I couldn't hear anything except waves on the beach. Still, I knew better than to ignore Tiger's warning. These woods were full of bears and even panthers. I wished I'd brought my rifle along. Suddenly, Tiger jumped up and ran back over the dune. The three of us leaped up and followed him. We found Tiger crouching on the ground at the edge of the slash pines where the sand was covered with pine needles. Look, he said, pointing. There was a little depression in the sand. What is it? Bear? Panther? No, Tiger said. Human. We strained our eyes into the forest, but there wasn't anything to see. If someone had been listening to us, he was gone now, leaving only a footprint in the sand.